bunch of SOBs. The same old Bucs. Hi everybody, I'm Marky Bilson, and it's now official. The East Tennessee State Buccaneers, co-champions of the Southern Conference in football last year, are going to finish all alone in dead last this year. They were defeated by lowly Western Carolina 23-20 in overtime in Cullowhee, so the Blue Ridge Trophy that ETSU took so much pride in creating last year now goes across the border to North Carolina. You know, you look at this season, and I think you look back, you see that VMI game, and yes, I know VMI is 4-6, and they defeated the Citadel, and they're having their best season since, whenever, since they're in the Big South. And I was the guy that said that VMI would be the most improved team in the Southern Conference. I thought it would mean 3 victories. It turned out it meant 4, but hey, genius Bilson, as always, right? But the deal was this. When ETSU lost to VMI early on in the year, that had the same feeling. Don't kid yourself and tell you, oh, it was the weather. No. That game had the same feeling that losing to Kennesaw State 56-16 in ETSU's first game back had. Because you're all excited. All right, ETSU is going to be a football power now. Oh. ETSU is going to have football back. Oh. And you can make all the excuses that you want, that 2 games are decided in overtime this year, that 6 are decided by 7 points or less. But the fact of the matter is, last year, there were 6 victories decided by 3 points or less for ETSU. And so we can ask ourselves, this is the curse of Duck Hodges. Devlin Hodges now with the nickname Duck given to him by his coach now, Mike Tomlin. Like duck hunting, you see, that's where that all comes from. Because Hodges set the FCS passing record that I told you he would in Johnson City in Samford's victory to close out the season last year, and that prevented ETSU from winning the Southern Conference outright, meant that they had to go on the road instead of host a playoff game. Or was it the curse of Quay Holmes fumbling at the goal line on what would have been presumably the tying touchdown? I guess you have to kick the XPA, but that should be expected, against Jacksonville State, leading yet another comeback for Austin Herring and company. Well, it didn't work out that way, and now ETSU is 2-8. I hesitate to say with the gravestone already cast at 2-10. No, I don't think they're going to beat Vanderbilt in the season finale. However, I do think that Mercer might be a winnable game. 4 victories team against a 2 victory team. And both coaches, Lamb and Sanders, have to be under a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but criticism right now. I don't know how much pressure Randy Sanders really is. I don't think his job is in jeopardy, just the sense that I get. However, pressure, obviously, when you go into the penultimate week of the season and the 2 teams have only 6 victories between them, the coaches are going to get some criticism. Again, ETSU, they were down Jared Folks, they were down Tyree Robinson, didn't play in this game. That can't be discounted because here the Catamounts hit on several big plays, could have used a safety to track them down, the ball carrier down, and prevent a big play like Robinson. Remember, Robinson picked by Southern Pigskin at the start of the year to be the best player in the Southern Conference. But a lot of questions right now. I mean, what is it with this switching quarterbacks? We understand Trey Mitchell with his whopping 30 yards passing against the Catamounts. Okay, probably not the guy. But what's this flip-flopping Tyler Riddle in? Riddle wasn't that much better, 8 of 17, but he did hit Anthony Spaglinetti with a big 44-yarder to begin. Well, that was his first college completion, and he's played much of the second half. But then, when it came time for the tying touchdown in the last 2 minutes, the 5-yard run from Quay Holmes, who rushed for 171 yards on 36 carries, he got all the carries, what with Jacob Sawyer's hurt as well. well then, why was it Mitchell who was back in there and not right out? I mean, Mitchell has not necessarily played all that well, and you got to start wondering, are the quarterbacks of ETSU focusing in on one receiver? Here, Will Huzzy didn't have any catches against the Catamounts. It was actually Spaglianetti coming out of his slump, although he did have 3 catches in the game before. He had only caught 3 passes in 3 games in the middle of the season. But here he gets 6 grabs against Western Carolina. But Huzzy, who'd been the breakout star, gets no catches. What's up with that? I mean, you're double teaming all the time, and then all of a sudden this guy comes. I mean, what is this? Are you focusing in on one and all this? Really, ETSU is fortunate they didn't lose this game in regulation. Western Carolina, who only lost last year 45-43 in overtime because Will Horton missed a chip shot field goal of less than 30 yards in overtime. Well, with the game on the line, Julian Pletz missed a 31-yarder that would have won it outright for the Catamounts. Of course, also in that game yesterday, Pletz missed another field goal of less than 40 yards. So really, the Catamounts should have won this game in overtime. And you can tell me all you want to about the injuries. I mean, hey, Casey Weldon, for that matter, that's turned out to be huge this year. But still, you just got to ask yourself, why the flip-flopping of quarterbacks? I mean, why, and it really does seem to be kind of a Tennessee thing. Randy Sanders used to be the offensive coordinator at Tennessee, still talks to Phil Fulmer. Of course, at Tennessee, is it going to be Mara? Is it going to be Guarantano? Is it going to be Shrout? Is Juan Jennings going to be behind center? The multiple quarterback deal. And right now, nobody knows where they stand. And that's probably why, even though Tennessee is on a 4-game winning streak against bad teams, they only scored 17 points against Kentucky, let's face it. I mean, there is a question of where do these players, where do the quarterbacks stand, both at ETSU and at Tennessee, and so don't be surprised if there's going to be a lot of transfers this year from either one. Another question, I know when the tying touchdown, there's 1:31 left, and ETSU has all 3 of their timeouts left, so you could ask, hey, why not go for 2 right there? This is why I despise college football overtime. It breeds coward ball. Really, the idea of kicking for the extra point makes more sense than going for it at that point. The reason why? Very simple. Here's Western Carolina, who 17 points on the day, but what you're going to get in that case is all you need to do is stop them on 3 downs, not 4. If it's a tie game and, throw 3 and out, you're punting with a minute left. And you get the ball with 3 timeouts. Why wouldn't you kick the extra point? You go for it, you got to stop the other team on 4 downs. Because they're going for it on 4th down. They're not doing that in a tie game. This is why I hate college football overtime. It rewards cowardice. Plain and simple. Again, I hesitate to say that ETSU is going to finish 2-10 because I don't think that Mercer is any great shakes, and that's who's coming out. Mercer is 4-6. But yeah, it's a possibility. And not even the 1970-71 Bucs. In 1970, ETSU lost only 1 game, and in 1971, they suffered 17 knee injuries and lost all of their games except for 1 tie. Well, that 1970 ETSU team also tied 2 games, and so they finished 3rd in the Ohio Valley Conference. They did finish last the next year. So it wasn't a first to worst back then. But this is really, like I said, the most ETSU football thing of all time. Win the conference and then finish in last place the next year. Bunch of SOBs. The same old Bucs. By the way, Joshua Henry saying multiple quarterbacks is working for Tennessee. The Tennessee homers going at it all right. They're 5-5, folks. They're 5-5. All right, if you like that, beating up on bad teams. UAB lost to Southern Miss 37-2 on Saturday. Okay, I mean, multiple QBs working for Tennessee. They scored 41 against South Carolina. Yeah, on 2 special teams touchdowns. Okay, yeah, it's working so well. There's going to be some transfers next year from Tennessee because none of the quarterbacks know where they stand. And if they don't transfer, then they're idiots. I'm Marky Bilson. Remember that. Bunch of SOBs. Same old Bucs.